Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the top 6 dirty condition Monticello Jefferson nickels that are worth some serious money. Let's get started. First up, the 1965 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel. But this isn't just any nickel, we're talking about one in bad condition with a distinctive black color shade. What does this mean for its value in today's market? Let's dive in and find out. First, let's rewind a bit and discuss the history behind the Jefferson nickel. Introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel replaced the Buffalo nickel, with Thomas Jefferson's profile on the obverse and his Virginia state, Monticello, on the reverse. The design, created by Felix Schlag, has become iconic over the decades. Now, let's zoom in on the 1965 Jefferson nickel. This coin was struck during a unique period in U.S. history. Due to rising silver prices and the risk of coin hoarding, the U.S. Mint decided to remove mint marks from all coins produced between 1965 and 1967. That's why you won't find a mint mark on this nickel. However, the focus of today's video is on a 1965 Jefferson nickel in bad condition, specifically one with a black color shade. Over time, coins can develop a dark or blackish tone due to various environmental factors, such as exposure to moisture chemicals, or simply years of circulation. In bad condition, this coin likely shows significant wear, with many of its details like Jefferson's hair and the features of Monticello being heavily worn down. So what's the value of a 1965 Jefferson nickel in bad condition with a black color shade in today's market? Unfortunately, the combination of heavy wear and discoloration significantly reduces the coin's value. While a 1965 nickel in very fine condition might be worth a bit more to collectors, one in bad condition is typically only worth its face value, 5 cents. In some cases, collectors might be willing to pay a little more, perhaps $50,000 if they find the coin interesting, or if they're trying to complete a set, but it's unlikely to fetch more than that. While this particular coin might not be worth much in terms of market value, it still has historical significance. The 1965 Jefferson nickel represents a time when the U.S. Mint was making significant changes to its coinage, and it can be a meaningful addition to any collection focused on U.S. history. If you have one in your collection, it's a great conversation starter or a piece to help illustrate the effects of wear and environmental exposure on coins. Remember, the value of a coin is not just in its monetary worth, but also in the story it tells. If you come across a 1965 Jefferson nickel in bad condition, don't be discouraged by its lack of value. It's still a piece of history. Next up, the 1964 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel. This one has a large date, a D mint mark, and is in dirty condition. So, what's its story, and how much is it worth in today's market? Let's find out. Before we dive into the specifics of this coin, let's take a quick journey through its history. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag and his Virginia estate, Monticello. On the reverse, this design has remained largely unchanged, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. Towel. Now, let's zoom in on the 1964 Jefferson nickel. The year 1964 was significant for a couple of reasons. First, it was the final year before the U.S. Mint transitioned from producing coins with silver content in dimes and quarters to using copper-nickel alloys. To meet the high demand for coins, the Mint produced an enormous number of nickels, including over 1 billion at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark on this coin. The specific coin we're discussing today is in dirty condition, which means it has seen its fair share of circulation. Over time, coins can accumulate dirt, grime, and other substances that obscure their original luster. In this condition, you'll likely see significant wear on Jefferson's portrait, with details like his hair and the features of Monticello being less distinct. The large date and D mint mark should still be visible, but the overall appearance of the coin will be dull and possibly discolored. So, what is the value of a 1964 Jefferson nickel with a large date D mint mark in dirty condition? Unfortunately, the wear and dirt significantly impact the coin's value. In today's market, such a coin is generally considered to have minimal value, mostly around its face value of $55,000. However, if you clean it up carefully without damaging it, or if a collector is particularly interested in the year or mint mark, it might fetch a bit more. possibly around $65,000. But remember, cleaning a coin can sometimes decrease its value, so it's often best to leave it in its original condition. While a 1964 Jefferson nickel in dirty condition may not be worth much in terms of monetary value, it's still a piece of American history. For collectors, it represents the end of an era and the beginning of significant changes in U.S. coinage. If you're looking to add it to your collection, focus on its historical significance rather than its market value. Coins like this 1964 Jefferson nickel remind us that even the most common items in our pockets can have rich histories and stories to tell. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, every coin has its own unique place in your collection. And who knows, you might even come across one in better condition that holds more value. Next up, the 1981 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel. Specifically, we'll be focusing on a version with a large date, P mint mark, and in fine condition. What's the history behind this coin, and how much is it worth in today's market? Let's find out. Before we dive into the specifics of this coin, let's take a brief look at the history of the Jefferson nickel. First introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel was designed by Felix Schlag, featuring the profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous estate, Monticello, on the reverse. This design has remained largely unchanged over the decades, making it a staple of American coinage. Now, let's focus on the 1981 Jefferson nickel. This coin was minted during a time when the U.S. economy was experiencing significant changes. The P mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is the oldest mint in the United States. The large date on the coin refers to the size of the numerals representing the year, which are more prominent than those on earlier issues. The specific coin we're talking about today is in fine condition. In numismatics, fine condition refers to a coin that has seen moderate circulation but still retains most of its details. On this 1981 nickel, you'll likely notice some wear on Jefferson's hair and face, and the steps of Monticello may not be fully visible. However, the major features and inscriptions should still be clear. So what is the value of a 1981 Jefferson nickel with a large date and P mint mark in fine condition? In today's market, this coin is relatively common, and its value is primarily tied to its face value, $25,000, because millions of these nickels were minted and they're still readily available. Even in fine condition, the market value isn't particularly high, however. Some collectors might be willing to pay a small premium for it, especially if it's part of a complete set of Jefferson nickels. You might see it valued at around $30,000 or more in the collector's market. While a 1981 Jefferson nickel in fine condition might not be the most valuable coin in your collection, it's still an important piece of numismatic history. Collectors who focus on completing sets or who are interested in the history of U.S. minting practices might find it to be a valuable addition. Plus, its historical context during the economic shifts of the early 1980s adds a layer of interest to the coin. Coins like the 1981 Jefferson nickel remind us that every piece of change in our pockets has a story to tell, whether it's the history behind its design, the era in which it was minted, or the journey it's taken through the years. Each coin has its own unique significance. Even if it's not a high-value coin, it can still hold a special place in your collection. Next up, the 1942 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel. This particular coin comes with a large date, a P mint mark, and is in dirty condition. What makes this coin unique, and how much is it worth in today's market? Stick around to find out. Before we get into the specifics of the 1942 Jefferson nickel, let's take a moment to set the stage. The year 1942 was a pivotal time in world history as World War II was in full swing. The war had a significant impact on many aspects of life, including the production of U.S. coins. With nickel being a critical material for the war effort, the U.S. Mint made some important changes to the Jefferson nickel during this period. In 1942, the U.S. Mint introduced the war nickels, which were produced using a different composition than the typical nickel coins. These coins were made from an alloy of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese to conserve nickel for the war. The P mint mark, which stands for the Philadelphia Mint, is significant because it was the first time the Philadelphia Mint used a mint mark on any U.S. coin. The large date on this coin refers to the size of the numerals representing the year, which are more prominent than on earlier issues. The specific coin we're discussing today is in dirty condition, which means it has seen considerable circulation and accumulated dirt and grime over time. In this state, the details on Jefferson's portrait and the Monticello building may be less distinct, and the overall appearance of the coin may be dull or discolored. However, the large date and P mint mark should still be visible, even if the coin's luster has faded. Now, let's talk about the value of a 1942 Jefferson nickel with a large date and P mint mark in dirty condition. War nickels, especially those from 1942 with the P mint mark, are sought after by collectors due to their historical significance and silver content. However, the dirty condition of this coin does affect its market value. In today's market, a 1942 Jefferson nickel in dirty condition might be valued at around $1 to $2, mainly due to its silver content. The value could be slightly higher if a collector is particularly interested in the historical aspect of the coin, despite its condition. While it's not a high-value coin, it's certainly a piece with a story to tell. If you have a 1942 Jefferson nickel in dirty condition, you might be tempted to clean it to improve its appearance. However, I'd advise against it. Cleaning a coin, especially an older one, can often do more harm than good, potentially decreasing its value. Many collectors prefer coins in their original untouched state, as it preserves the coin's history and authenticity. Coins like the 1942 Jefferson nickel remind us that even the most common items in our pockets can have rich histories and connections to significant events like World War II. While this coin might not be the most valuable in terms of dollars, its historical significance and unique features make it a noteworthy addition to any collection. Next up, the 1958 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel. Specifically, we're looking at the large date variety with D mint mark, and we'll be focusing on a coin in extra fine condition. What makes this coin special, and how much is it worth in today's market? Let's get into it. First, a bit of background on the Jefferson nickel. Introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag and his estate, Monticello, on the reverse. This design has remained largely unchanged for decades, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. Now, let's focus on the 1958 Jefferson nickel. This particular coin is notable for its large date, which refers to the size of the numerals in the year 1958. They're larger than those on earlier versions of the coin. The D mint mark indicates that this nickel was minted at the Denver Mint, which produced a significant number of these coins in 1958. The coin we're discussing today is in extra fine condition. In numismatic terms, extra fine refers to a coin that has been well preserved with only minor signs of wear on a coin in extra fine condition. You should still be able to see sharp details in Jefferson's portrait and the Monticello building. The coin will have light wear on the highest points, but the overall appearance will be very clean and attractive. So what's the value of a 1958 Jefferson nickel with a large date and D mint mark in extra fine condition in today's market? This coin is relatively common, but still holds some interest for collectors. Because it's in extra fine condition, it's worth more than its face value of 5 cents. On average, you might expect to see it valued between $2 and $4. The exact value can vary based on the current demand among collectors and the specific details of the coin. If you're adding this coin to your collection, keep in mind that the condition is crucial for determining its value. Extra fine condition is highly desirable because it shows that the coin has been well cared for. If you're looking to purchase or sell a coin like this, consider having it professionally graded to get an accurate assessment of its condition and value. Coins like the 1958 Jefferson nickel remind us of the rich history and craftsmanship involved in American coinage. While this coin might not be the rarest or most valuable, its excellent condition and historical significance make it a great addition to any collection. Plus, it's a tangible piece of American history from the late 1950s. Next up, the 1971 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel. This particular coin comes with a large date AD mint mark and is in very fine condition. We're going to dive into what makes this coin special and talk about its value in today's market, so if you're a collector or just curious about coins, stay tuned. Let's start with a bit of background on the Jefferson nickel. This iconic coin was first introduced in 1938, designed by Felix Schlag, and features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse with his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over the years, the Jefferson nickel has become a staple of American currency, and many collectors seek out specific years and mint marks to complete their collections. Now, let's focus on the 1971 Jefferson nickel. This coin was minted during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins each year to keep up with the demands of a growing economy. The D-Mint mark on this coin tells us that it was minted at the Denver Mint, which was responsible for a significant portion of the U.S. coin production during this period. The large date on this coin refers to the size of the numerals in the year 1971, which are more prominent and easier to read than on some earlier versions. The specific coin we're looking at today is in very fine condition. In numismatic terms, very fine indicates that the coin has seen some circulation but retains a good amount of detail. On a coin like this, you should still be able to see the finer details of Jefferson's portrait and the Monticello building, although there may be some light wear on the higher points. The overall appearance of the coin is still quite appealing, with most of the original design features well preserved. So, what's the value of a 1971 Jefferson nickel with a large date and D-Mint mark in very fine condition in today's market? This coin is considered common, but its value can still be more than its face value of $70,000 typically. You might find a 1971 Jefferson nickel in very fine condition valued between $80,000 or more. The exact value can vary depending on factors such as the current demand among collectors and the specific condition of the coin. While it's not a high-value coin, it's a great example of everyday American currency from the early 1970s. If you're a collector or just starting out, coins like the 1971 Jefferson nickel are excellent additions to your collection. They're affordable, readily available, and offer a glimpse into the history of U.S. coinage. If you're looking to add value to your collection, consider seeking out Jefferson nickels in higher grades or with rare mint marks, as these can be more valuable. Coins like the 1971 Jefferson nickel remind us of the everyday items that carry a piece of history with them. While this coin might not be the rarest or most valuable, its very fine condition and historical significance make it a wonderful piece to own and appreciate. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting your journey, there's always something new to discover in the world of coins. That's all for today's look at the 1971 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel with the D-Mint mark in very fine condition. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more in-depth coin discussions. We've got plenty more to explore, from rare finds to everyday treasures. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy collecting.